Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Let's wait for a couple of minutes so that more students and parents can join in. Thank you.
Progress. It comes from having a clear objective, a goal, moving forward unwaveringly towards success. It can be fast, it can be slow, it can be disruptive, but one thing it can't be is stopped. While progress might seem inevitable, breakthroughs come from supercharging it, delivering business outcomes at scale, fulfilling aspirations with compassion, innovating responsibly, finding new levels of efficiency, removing barriers, unlocking potential. Business is always moving, so it's easy to confuse motion with real progress. Whether it's day-to-day success or transformational gains, we supercharge progress to change the game. HCL Tech, supercharging progress. Progress.
Good evening once again, everyone. Hope you all are doing good and keeping safe. I'm Arindam, part of Global Tech Marketing team at HCL Tech. And this Supercharge series is brought to you by TechBee, HCL's early career program for students who want to kickstart their careers in technology right after their class 12. At HCL Tech, we help people to discover their spark. So that's why we are inviting people from different walks of life in a webinar series who come and share their perspective ideas, and they make students informed about the choices of the careers ahead. We have started this series 3 years before, and last year also we did some series with some of the best career counselors and educationists in India. And this year also we have started the same. And on a huge demand from our audience, today our speaker guest is Mr. Bhaskar Karmapudi. About Mr. Bhaskar Karmapudi, he is a management graduate with specialization in human resource. He has spent over 25 plus years in industry in both public and private sector, put together, out of which the recent 12 years have been with complete focus on training and development. Mr. Karmapudi has trained more than 35,000 plus individuals and around 800 plus trainers. He has been a resource person in number of faculty development programs. He has till date trained the training program for more than 800 plus trainers in the states of Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh on aptitude, communication skills, and soft skills. So now over to you, Mr. Bhaskar Karmapudi.
Thanks a lot, Arindam. So good evening, everyone. Very happy to meet all of you today in this session. And it's been an exciting experience interacting with the youth, particularly year after year through sessions like this. I also appreciate the HCL Tech Group for having planned a series of events like this. I'm sure those of you who are participating will derive the maximum benefit and will use that information for planning better careers. Arindam, can we start off with that presentation? Is that
Yeah,
the
sure,
plan?
sir, sure. Yeah, sure. So where I'm going with.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So over the next probably 30 to 35 minutes, we will look at understanding and delving deeper into this topic of empowering your dreams. Most youth who complete their class 12 usually are influenced by decisions made by their parents or the siblings or an uncle or an aunt, or sometimes even the suggestions and inputs given by their teachers. But then many of them are not putting in effort to realize their own dreams, because ultimately what you dream is what matters most compared to what other people give you as suggestions. And hence, this session will help you understand how to ensure that you strengthen your dreams, your aspirations, and also work towards achieving them. And towards the end, of course, you will get an opportunity to also ask me questions. You will be able to interact with us. So let's start off. What is it that we'll be discussing over the next half an hour? Let's move on to the next slide. So there are four different areas. Number one, we'll first get into discussion on the concept of dreams and how they are relevant to creating goals, setting targets for ourselves. And after that, we will understand the importance of creating and nurturing the can do attitude, which means dreaming big, the importance of dreaming big, and why that is very essential in becoming a successful individual in both the professional as well as personal life. And once we complete that discussion, we will move on to the actual process of setting targets, translating, converting your aspirations to action points. And as I said, towards the end, you will get an opportunity to ask questions. I'll be more than happy to respond to every question that you might have. Arindam and myself, we both are here to assist you in getting clarity about anything that's related to planning your careers and ensuring that you come out with flying colors. Next. So let us start with the difference between a dream and a goal. When we use the word dream, the different implications of that word, I'm sure most of you are aware of that. When we sleep, we dream, and there are people who also daydream. But then we are referring to the process of dreaming, visualizing, creating the future that you aspire to see yourself in a couple of years from now. And there are, of course, differences between a dream and a goal. Often we use these two words synonymously, but then there's a lot of difference. Some people who dream ultimately do not achieve those dreams. They're not able to translate those dreams to reality because they have not understood the relevance of converting the dream into a goal and working on that. So, what do you think are the differences between a dream and a goal? Broadly, there are three differences, as you can see listed out on the screen. Number one, the state of consciousness. When you're sleeping and you dream, you are not consciously creating that visual for yourself. It happens. It happens unconsciously, isn't it? Whereas when you're awake and you aspire to achieve something big for yourself, you are motivated towards working and achieving your specific outcome, then that dream has to be converted into a goal, which means there is consciousness acting behind you. There is awareness. With consciousness, we dream for ourselves, we dream the future. I remember when I was in school, teachers used to ask us in our 6th standard, 7th standard to express what we want to become when we grow up. And some people used to say, look, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a policeman, I want to be an engineer, etc., etc. So whatever we speak, that's coming out of the consciousness. We are aware of what we are saying, isn't it? That is the first difference between a dream and a goal. When you use your consciousness, the dream has got higher chance of getting converted into a goal. It is no longer a dream that we dream when you're sleeping. And then the second difference is that we write down a dream to ensure that it gets converted into a goal. We have to write it down. It seems in a day, the human brain is capable of experiencing almost 6,200 thoughts. Can you imagine that? 6,200 thoughts every day. That is the power of the human brain. Couple of years back, even decades back, people used to say that human brain is capable of experiencing hundreds and lakhs of thoughts. But the recent research that has been done about 3.5 years back, just before the COVID time, indicates that The human brain is really capable of capturing almost 6,200 thoughts in a day. And if we are able to work on at least one thought per day, imagine what can be achieved in life. Isn't that true? And that is possible when you are consciously aware of that, and you're also willing to work on it. Now, how do we know what do we need to work on? Because when the thoughts cross your mind, we often tend to move on to the next set of thoughts that are coming up, and the most important thoughts can be lost. Often thoughts that come to your brain are the thoughts that ultimately can drive you towards what you want to achieve in the future. But unless we work on documenting those thoughts, unless we work on writing down those thoughts, we might lose those important inputs, isn't it? It seems the universe actually connects with every one of us, helps us to create dreams for ourselves, helps us to nurture thoughts that can help us lead towards successful outcomes in the future. So we have to write down. Guys, this is very important. You have to write down whatever you want to achieve in the future. That is when your dream gets converted into a goal, into a target. And the third is the effort to make it a reality. The dreams we get when you sleep, and then later when you wake up, we don't bother to make them a reality. You don't have to work towards. Most of them may not make sense, isn't it? Whereas we are talking about the aspirations we have for the future, and unless you put the effort to make those aspirations a reality, it is not possible to achieve those goals. And that is the third difference between a dream and a goal. We have to put in the effort to make the dream a reality, to ensure that the goal gets translated into action points. And the most important thing, when you write down your goal, when you're conscious, when you're aware of that, and you're working towards putting effort to make it a reality, you experience the excitement, the motivation, the enthusiasm, which can drive you towards working on it and achieving it finally. Isn't that true? Many people, when they complete their school, and when they are just about to complete their college, the plus 2, particularly the class 12, many of them are only looking at two or three opportunities that are available in the market today. One, of course, people look at the possibility of becoming an engineer. Two, of course, people also look at the opportunity of becoming a doctor. And in the last couple of years, a third opportunity also has emerged, getting into streams related to the commerce, like becoming a chartered accountant or a certified financial consultant, etc. But are these the only three opportunities? You will have to understand that there is a huge set of opportunities available, and every dream you have, every aspiration you have, can be translated, can be converted into some action plan that can ultimately help you get into very successful careers in the future. Next next slide, please. So in this context, I would like to bring to your notice a very important approach. This is called dreaming big. Since you're anyway dreaming, right, why don't you dream big? That's the question. you know when two friends were talking to each other, it seems one guy was asking the other, what do you want to dream about? And this guy says, I want to dream about going across the country in India to all the places. But then the other guy says, why would you want to limit yourself to that? There are 220 countries in the world. Don't you think it is apt, it is interesting to dream about going and visiting all the 220 countries? Why would you want to limit to only India? That is the implication of dreaming big. The fact is that if you aim to reach the moon, ultimately you might remain on Earth itself. Look at that. I'm sure if you search on Google, you'll also get this quote, a quotation which says, do not aim just for the moon, because if you're aiming to reach the moon, ultimately you might reach and remain on Earth only. The reality is that you should plan to reach the stars, because if you aim for the stars, at least you will be able to reach the moon. And that is precisely what it means when we say dreaming big. So the the ability to dream big definitely needs a lot of courage. It needs you to be bold and courage enough. courageous enough. Dreaming big doesn't mean that you just say, I want to become a software engineer. Dreaming big doesn't mean that you just say, I want to treat patients by becoming a doctor. Dreaming big doesn't mean that you just say, I want to become a chartered accountant. Dreaming big is about realizing your full potential, imagining aspiring for something that will frighten you, maybe make you uncomfortable also at times, which will drive you to come out of your comfort zone. I'm sure you heard of this word comfort zone. It seems every human being, every person is happy being where they are. That is said to be comfort zone. As long as we remain in the comfort zone, miracles cannot happen in life, big things cannot be achieved in life. And hence, we have to start looking at the opportunity of dreaming big. What it means is you push yourself out of your comfort zone. The dreams that you have for yourself, the aspirations and the goals that you set for yourself should actually be things that will drive you, motivate you, excite you, while at the same time they should also be they should also be targets that will make you slightly uncomfortable. If you already are able to achieve 90% 95% in your academics, and if you continue to have the same goal of achieving 95% in the next board exam also, then that's no longer dreaming big. You should be able to target achieving 100% the next time, isn't it? If you're already able to learn two languages till now, and if you're fluently speaking in those two languages, you're able to read and write and also speak fluently in those two languages, then dreaming big is about the plan to learn at least two other languages. That is said to be dreaming big. And why should you have to limit yourself to learning another two languages? Why don't you look at the opportunity of learning maybe another 10 languages, right? So I am sure you understood the importance, the concept of dreaming big. Aim for the stars so that at least you reach the moon. Got it? Next slide, please. Now, we also mentioned that we will look at the concept of can do attitude. What does this mean? The can do attitude. When you set a goal for yourself, there is every possibility that you might have doubts about achieving that goal. You might start thinking, will I be able to reach this goal? Will I be able to achieve this comfortably? Sorry. Because at the plus two level, I know that many of you probably are looking at getting into engineering, medicine, commerce, accountancy, etc. But then the thought of sitting for the entrance exam itself might be, might make you worried. You might feel afraid. You might feel fearsome. But then there is a need for you to experience that slight stress, because that stress will help you drive yourself and create this can do attitude. I'm sure you also heard of this quote that when you tell yourself, I can and I will, ultimately you'll be able to achieve that. So, nurturing the can do attitude, what do we have to understand about this? Please understand that nothing is impossible in this world, everything is possible. See, whatever you see around you, including the computer or the mobile through which you are attending this class, every item, every object you see around you in this world has come out of a human brain. Now visualize that. Isn't that brilliant? Isn't that amazing? That the human brain is capable of creating and inventing, discovering so many beautiful, interesting things. Internet itself is something that was unimaginable 50 years back. And today we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are talking about internet of things, machine learning, we are talking about chat GPT, etc. All this is the representation of what the human brain, human mind is capable of, and we are all part of that intelligence. So believe that nothing is impossible, everything is possible. I am sure you also are aware that many times people have a poster in their college or a school where it says nothing is impossible, and that impossible is later rewritten with a space between I, am, and possible to read it as I am possible, right? This is part of nurturing the can do attitude, believing that everything is possible. The second approach is that there are no limits to what the human mind is capable of. Often we have the limiting beliefs, right? We start thinking that only those guys who are continuously achieving high scores in the exams will continue to achieve. I may not reach there. That is not true. It is only a limitation you are putting on your own capabilities. So there are no limits to what the human mind is capable of. We have reached the moon. Imagine that. We have been able to research the depths of the oceans. And now, of course, the humanity, we are now planning to get into space travel. Wow. Space travel, that is something which could never be possible about a couple of decades back, and only because people like Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, people like Elon Musk, etc., these are the people who are able to drive the creativity and also nurture the can do attitude. So if you start believing that there's a limitation for yourself, then there's a limitation. If you start believing there are no limits for your achievements, then obviously there will be no limits. You will be able to surpass every limitation that you see virtually. And the third is the beliefs. What you believe is what you are capable of. Now, if you take an example of an elephant, we know that even if 10 humans try to restrict it, it can just pull out all of them and throw them in various directions. That's the immense power of the elephant. But today we are able to even tame an elephant and make it do things that we want it to do, isn't it? How? When the elephant is a baby elephant, it seems its leg is tied up to a pole, and it starts believing that as long as the rope or the chain is tied to its leg, it cannot free itself. Even when it grows up and becomes a huge elephant, a huge elephant which can just push and uh, shovel entire buildings, continues to believe that as long as the chain is there tied to its leg, it is not able to free itself. That is an example of a limiting belief. Do you have such beliefs in yourself? You have to ask yourself, are there beliefs in my mind that are preventing me from dreaming big? Are there beliefs in my mind that are becoming a hindrance, a barrier to what I can achieve? Are there beliefs in my mind that are preventing me from dreaming big, from setting higher goals, from achieving what I'm really capable of? Is the question you have to ask yourself. Once you understand these three, the possibility, the limits, and the beliefs that are there inside, and you're able to break those beliefs and barriers, you will be able to start nurturing the can do attitude. Got it? And I'm sure all of you are taking notes. When see, while you listen to me on this session, not only this session, any session that you attend, there are a lot of thoughts that cross your mind. Remember, we said there are 6,200 thoughts that cross the human mind every day. Even now, in the last 15, 20 minutes, I'm sure a lot of thoughts cross your mind. Some of them are very, very important. Unless you note down them, you will not know what thoughts have come to you, and you will lose them forever. Please make it a habit to take notes. And I'm sure some of you are already doing that. Guys, are you doing it already? If yes, wonderful. You're on the right track. Let's move on to the next slide now. Now that we have understood the can do attitude, we are now in the most important step of setting the targets. That means converting your dreams into goals, converting them into reality by following these steps. In fact, there are 6 steps totally. Step number 1, you have to first identify what is it that you want to achieve. Where is it that you want to reach? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to reach? Because unless you decide where you want to reach, you will not know which path will help you reach there. Isn't that true? If I want to reach point A from the point B, because I know there are 2 points A and B, I can look at alternative ways of reaching the destination that I want to reach. But if I have not defined my destination itself, then what will I do? I just will sit back, relax, and then not do anything about it because I do not know where I want to reach. It is the most important step, and this is something that we have to continue to do in our life. Of course, you first define what you want to achieve in the next 1 year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, and then the next 5 years, 10 years. What do you want to achieve in your life? In fact, people say we have to work it out the other way around. First, define what you want to achieve in your life, where do you want to reach in your life, and then drill it down, break it down into easier steps. Something that you want to achieve in the next 10 years, something that you want to achieve in the next 5 years, what you want to achieve in the next 1 year. To achieve that goal you want to achieve in the next 1 year, there are various action steps you have to implement. So what is it that you want to do in the next 6 months, the next 3 months, the next 1 month? What is it you want to do this week, next week, the next week? What is it you want to do today? That is how you drill down and you define. The first step is identify what you want to achieve, where you want to reach. Sorry. Then the second step, ideally, once you understand, once you define where you want to reach, you should do a SWOT analysis. I'm sure many of you heard of this SWOT analysis. SWOT. The full form is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Sorry, guys. SWOT analysis, as you know, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. First, identify, list out what are your strengths. Maybe you are good at listening. Maybe you are good at writing. Maybe you are good at logic, analytical reasoning, thinking. Maybe you are good at mathematical, solving mathematical puzzles. Maybe you might be good at documenting, right? Some of you might be good at music. Maybe you're good at singing, dancing. What are your strengths? Maybe you're good at interacting with people. Maybe you're good at making friends. All of them are strengths. And trust me, any strength you have today will help you identify a relevant career path and ultimately achieve what you want to achieve. So, listing out your strengths is part of this SWOT analysis. Once you know your strengths, you should also list out your weaknesses. Rather, instead of using the word weaknesses, we can also use the word areas of improvement. Which are those specific areas where you know you are not as strong enough? Which are those areas where you have to improve on? Maybe if you aspire to become an engineer and today you're not strong in mathematics, trigonometry, or calculus, maybe that's an area where you have to start working on. And if you want to, let's say, become a chartered accountant, and if you're not good with numbers or logic, then maybe that's an area you have to start working on. So identifying your weaknesses, areas of improvement, is also as important as identifying your strengths. And the third aspect is listing out the opportunities that are available. What do you see around? What are the various opportunities around in the world? The career opportunities. Look at what your relatives, your uncle or your aunt or your cousins are doing, your siblings are doing, right? Look at what the entire world is talking about. Identify opportunities. And finally, the threats. Threat means something that might act against you. Usually, unless an individual continues to acquire and refine their knowledge, skills, and abilities, they'll get left behind in the race. Because ultimately, this is a race. Life is about participating in the race, and we continue to run this race because we are excited in participating in this race. We are, we have a lot of enthusiasm. We are enthusiastic, and we would want to reach where we want to reach by completing this race, isn't it? And as part of that, we have to carry out the second step, which is listing out your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and also the threats. That is SWOT analysis. Once you have these items in place, the third step involves researching the various career paths available. How do you research? How do you know what are the various career paths available? Well, there are a lot of sources that you can turn to. Google is an excellent opportunity. You can research online. Yes, you can search using the keywords career opportunities after +2, isn't it? Or you can also talk to people who are already doing it. You can reach out to your relatives, maybe your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, your parents, your siblings, your teachers. Talk to them, understand what they are doing currently, and understand how they have chosen their career path. Understand what other career opportunities are available. You can also refer to books, both the PDF books available, ebooks available online, and also the hard copy books available offline. You can refer to all of them. In addition, I'm sure all of you, most of you have heard of this Chat GPT, the recent tool that the entire world is going gaga about, isn't it? Chat GPT is part of artificial intelligence. You can go to Chat GPT, just ask the question, please list out the interesting, innovative career opportunities available for me. And I'm a student who have just completed plus two or doing plus two. I want you to list out all the various career opportunities available. And the more information you give to Chat GPT, the more relevant suggestions you get from it. You can describe yourself. You can say, look, I'm doing my plus two now with mathematics, physics, chemistry, or zoology or commerce background. And I would like to receive a list of career opportunities available for me. I'm good at communication, or I like this, I like that, etc. etc. That's another source for you to research the career paths. Got it? And if possible, also talk to a couple of career counselors, career instructors, career consultants. These are the guys who have immense experience working with students like you, youngsters like you. Once you complete these three steps, then comes the step number four. In the fourth step, you have to match your aspirations with the opportunities that are available. What does it mean? You already have defined your destination. You are aware of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and you have identified the career opportunities that are available. Now, because you have a list of career opportunities and you also know where you want to reach and you have your strengths, you have to map them. You have to match them. You have to see how your strengths are relevant to which career opportunity. You have to match your aspirations with the opportunities that are available in the world, and that is how you will know what are the most relevant career paths suitable for you. Got it? And then the step number five, identify the resources that are needed. You know, to achieve any goal, we need a lot of resources. For instance, we might need money, we will definitely need time, and of course, you will need a lot of energy. Money, time, and energy. These are the three most important resources needed for everyone for achieving anything in life. Don't you agree with that? I'm sure you do. Money, time, resources. Of course, there are a lot of other resources also. You might need the support of someone who can guide you. You might need to have an action plan that will help you drive yourself on the path, etc. etc. But then the broad resources are of three categories. One is the money, second is the time, the third is the energy. So the question is, do you have the energy needed to achieve your goal? Are you willing to put in the effort that is needed? Do you have the time that is needed? Can you make time to achieve the goal that you want to achieve? Do you have the money? Money, of course, today is not an important criteria because, as you are aware, many students are able to receive financial aid. Whether you study in India or abroad, there are a lot of agencies which offer scholarships, financial aid, educational loan is available. So money is not a criteria today. That's a resource needed, but that is not a criteria. That should not stop you from dreaming big. Of course, time is something which is in your hands. If you actually create for yourself an interesting, enthusiastic, and highly motivating target, I'm sure you'll find time to achieve that. And then energy that is needed. By creating an action plan, you will be able to automatically create that energy within yourself. And that is the step number six, creating a plan and implementing that. Creating an action plan, that is the most important step, because even if you complete the first five steps, unless you have an action plan ready, it doesn't make sense. Why is an action plan needed? Because imagine if we want to construct a building. Let's say I want to construct a 10-story building, 10-floor building, right? Do we straight away start with construction? No, of course not. We first create a blueprint for the building, isn't it? The building plan has to be created. Unless you have a building plan, how do you know where to start? How do you know how much resources are needed? How do you know when to do what? How do you know in which direction or in which location the bedroom or the kitchen or the hall or the living room has to go in? All that can be defined only if you have the plan in place. So having a plan is very, very crucial. Unfortunately unfortunately many students do not have a plan even after completion of their plus 2. The plan should have been ready by the time you complete class 10. But then at plus 2 also, if you do not have the plan ready, then it is high time you start working on this. Please understand, that it is very easy to get influenced by the suggestions or advice given by other people. But is that something that drives you? Realize that across the world today, if you talk to adults who are already working, who have work experience of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, many of them will say that the job or the business or the op- uh, the opportunity that they're involved in now is something that they did not choose for themselves. That is, many of them would have probably chosen to get into the first opportunity that came across their way. Often, whatever opportunity comes in, we tend to get into that opportunity, and that is how many people get into their first job. Is that something you want to do? I don't think so. Because after working in an industry or in a job for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, by the time someone reaches their 30th year, 35th year, people start questioning themselves, is this something I really want to do? And they start realizing they're not happy in what they're doing. And that causes a dissatisfaction, that causes stress, that causes frustration, disappointment. Is that something you also want to experience? I do not think so. So, what do? You create your own future, you define your own future, you lay your own path, and you work towards achieving that path. And that is possible if you create a plan now. You have to create a plan. Some of you, I'm sure, already completed your plus two, and some of you are currently in your plus two. This is the time for you, this is the right time for you to create a plan, at least for the next 5 to 10 years. And having the plan ready will help you get that clarity that is needed. When there is fog in winter, I do not know which city you're in, but then in many cities in the country, during winter, December month particularly, there's a lot of mist and fog. Early morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock, you walk up onto the road, you will see that the visibility is very poor. So if there's a fog, there's mist, you do not know where you're going. You do not know what's there ahead of you, isn't it? Everything is confusing. When you do not have an action plan, life will be like that. Life will seem like that. You should have an action plan which gives you complete clarity. The moment you create your plan, you write it down step by step, and you also know what you want to do, what you have to do in the next couple of days, weeks, and months. That will give you the complete clarity. It is like removing the fog, it is like removing the mist. Everything becomes crystal clear. Once you have the clarity, you know what will happen? You will feel immensely powerful. You will feel powerful, and you will feel that you are in complete control of your life. That is when miracles will happen. That is when you will be able to drive yourself towards moving out of your comfort zone, achieving something big. Guys, these are the most important 6 steps towards achieving whatever you want to achieve in life. And I'm sure all of you already taken notes, listed out these 6 steps. If not, please do that now, quickly. And now we will move on to the next slide. This is a quote from the movie In the Pursuit of Happiness. If you have not yet watched that movie, please watch it one of these days. I am sure it's available on YouTube also. This guy, the actor called Will Smith, very famous, reputed, some of you know, I guess. He tells his son in the movie, don't ever let someone tell you that you cannot dream big. Not even me. If you have a dream, you have to protect it. When people cannot do something themselves, they will tell you that you also cannot do it. But if you want something, go get it. Full stop. Period. This is what Will Smith said. I am sure you have understood the implication, the meaning, the relevance of it to you. There might be people around us who keep telling us, look, this is something you should not do or you cannot do. They say that because probably they tried doing it themselves and they failed at it. You don't have to listen to them, because who knows, your capabilities are much higher, much more efficient than theirs, and your motivation probably is strong enough than theirs. And hence, Will Smith tells his son, do not listen to anyone, not even to me. Don't let anyone put down you and your thoughts. Do not set aside your dreams. If you have a dream, you want to achieve something, go ahead, do that. Because life is a one time opportunity. You don't get a second opportunity to lead this life, isn't it? It's just one opportunity. So why do you have to worry about, why do you have to fear about, why do you have to be afraid about doing something that you want to do for yourself? Go ahead and start doing it, is what Will Smith tells his son. With that, we complete the discussion on today's topic. And now, if there are questions, I'll be more than happy to respond to those queries.
Thank you, sir, for sharing this wonderful presentation. I hope our audience will also find it fruitful and they have enjoyed it a lot. Thank you, sir. So, we are getting questions daily basis on our TechBee social media handles. And I
Okay,
have noted a few of them, and I will request you to please answer if time allows now.
sure.
So, first of all, we are covering a very interesting topic today, that is empowering the dreams of a young aspirants. So, what's your first
Great.
reaction on it?
Yeah, my first reaction when I heard of this topic was that, wow, someone is talking about that. Because when I was in my plus two, we never had the opportunity of talking about this or even thinking about that. Parents tell us what to do, and then we get into that. Today, we are discussing that. So that's really a pleasant shock, pleasant surprise, I would say. And I was very happy to be part of this discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We are also happy to have you here. So, here we go with the next question. So,
Yeah.
apart from hard work and dedication, what other qualities should a student have to fulfill their dreams?
Yeah, hard work, dedication definitely are needed, but they're just not sufficient enough. One important quality every student should have is resilience. Resilience means whatever problem comes, while we plan to achieve our goals, while we are working towards it, while we are moving towards it, there will definitely be setbacks. There will be definitely lot of problems, lot of inconveniences. But we should not give up. We should continue to move ahead and continue to work towards achieving that goal. Resilience means not willing to give up and be able to move forward, whatever might happen, whatever might try to stop our progress. That is one important quality, resilience. The second is taking initiative, which means not waiting for someone to come and tell you what to do. Often, students at the plus two level might be waiting for their parents to give suggestions, or might be waiting for their friends or colleagues to take a decision, or the teachers to give inputs as to what to do next. That is something which is no longer acceptable in this highly competitive world. You should be willing to take initiative, which is also called as being proactive. So every student, particularly every individual, not just a student, but particularly since we're talking about students at the plus two level, all of you need to be proactive. What does it mean? Do not wait for someone to come and tell you. Do not wait for things to happen. You take the initiative. Start working on what you want to achieve. Start working on defining where you want to reach. This is the second important quality. One, resilience. Number two, being proactive. Number three, of course, developing, nurturing the can do attitude, which we already discussed. These are three important qualities which, if you can nurture them, you can go places. Nothing is impossible. You will be able to prove it to yourself and to this world. Yes, Arinda.
So, thank you, sir. So, based on this, so tell us something about your career when you were young and have just finished your high school. What all dreams you had for your career and what challenges you had faced to fulfill your dreams?
Okay, so when I was in my class 10, I had this aspiration to become an engineer. And then while doing my plus two, I was not really sure whether engineering is something that I wanted to get in. By the time I completed my 2 years of college, I realized that engineering is not the only opportunity available. There are a lot of other opportunities. And I also realized that I love interacting with people. I enjoy explaining things to people. I also get energized when I'm able to present a concept to someone. And then after plus two, by the time I completed my plus two, I realized engineering is not what I want to do. I decided to get into management. So after completion of my plus two, I did my graduation. Then I got into an MBA program, Master of Business Administration. I specialized in HR, human resources, because I realized that gives me an opportunity to interact with more people. And it's been almost, sorry, uh, 28 years now that I completed my MBA. Over the last 28 years, of course, the first 14 years of my career was as an employee working with various companies. And I was also fortunate enough to work with some large organizations in the country, particularly in the human resources areas, training people, guiding people, coaching them, mentoring them, helping them realize what they want to realize. And that way, if I look back and see whatever dreams I had for myself in plus two, I've been able to accomplish them. And then, of course, after completion of MBA, it was not an easy road getting into all these reputed organizations. After having worked for 14 years, I realized that there has to be something even bigger for me. So I realized that being an employee is no longer an option. I decided to become an entrepreneur. That's how I started off my first business in the year 2006. Now, looking back, I realized that was an excellent decision. In the process, whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, ultimately, this world will throw many things at you. But do you have the resilience to face them? Do you have the proactiveness to take action, not waiting for someone to come and tell you what to do? And are you willing to nurture this can do attitude? These three things have also helped me to progress in life, overcome any hurdles that come across, and also be able to reach where I wanted to reach today. Today, of course, I'm happy to share my thoughts with the youth through this platform that HCL Tech is organizing, and also appreciate that the youth are more willing, more open to receive inputs, and be willing to attend sessions like this to absorb and plan their careers in a positive way. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So there is a question from audience. So is Suraj from Kolkata. So he's asking that these days there are students are getting information from various online resources. How can they choose the right resource? How can parents or teachers guide them?
Okay. Okay. Yes, that is correct. As we said, internet is full of information. There are a lot of resources from which information can be received by you guys. So one important aspect is that do not take anything on the face value. Don't just believe whatever information comes to you. Cross check, talk to people, do some research on your own, talk to your parents, talk to people who are already working in the industry, maybe talk to your seniors. And I'm sure many of you are already, all of you are already there on social media sites like Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, Pinterest, etc. On LinkedIn, you will be able to reach out to people who are already working in the industry. Any information that you are not sure whether it is valid or not, talk to these people, request for advice, for suggestion. People will be more than happy. And of course, parents and teachers also have to let these youngsters work on their own aspirations instead of pushing on to them our own thoughts, our own aspirations. Particularly parents. I realized when I look back, my dad wanted me to become an engineer. Fortunately, he was broad minded to let me get into something else that I wanted to, that is management. But not all parents are doing that. So, as parents, our primary responsibility will be to create an opportunity, the openness that will give the chance for the student, the girl or the boy, to come to you and talk to you openly, share their aspirations with you. This is the best thing that a parent can do with their kids. And of course, the teachers also should be able to spend enough time to research on the latest emerging career opportunities and share that information with the students rather than pushing them, leading them towards the routine run of the mill career opportunities available like engineer or a doctor or a chartered accountant. And today there are immense opportunities, even the opportunities being offered by companies like HCL Tech. Yes, Arindam.
So, sir, the next question is that what are the things students should keep in their mind as they complete their high schools and want to enter the workforce?
Once you complete your education and you plan to get into the industry, that is, you become part of the workforce, understand that life will be entirely different. What you expect may not be what you see in the workplace. People are of various types. Till the time you work, you are a student, until the time you are a student, your focus has been entirely on scoring the highest marks. But now, when you become part of the workforce, you are working with an organization. You have your responsibilities towards your organization. You also have responsibilities towards your family, your parents, your siblings, etc. You also should be able to make time for your friends, your colleagues, while at the same time you should also continue to focus on acquiring newer skills, knowledge and abilities, which means there can be utter chaos and confusion possible, at least for the first couple of days. Understand that you have to start working on nurturing your skill as a leader, as a team worker, be able to work with teams. You should also work on your ability to negotiate with other people, listen well, be able to empathize with other people. You should also be able to acquire skills, as we call them today, as soft skills. While as a student, you probably were focusing only on the academics, but now that will not be the focus when you become part of the workforce. Companies like employees who are able to acquire newer skills, take responsibilities, and work towards contributing as much as possible to the organization's growth. Because when the organization grows, you will also grow with them. So that should be your focus when you become part of the workforce. In short, I am saying, what I'm saying is, the world will seem to be so big now. You are coming out of a college and you're going to face the entire world. So you have to equip yourself with all the weapons that are needed to ensure that you become a successful citizen.
Thank you, sir. So these days, corporates are catching young talent. So which skills do corporates look in young students who are willing to join the workforce?
First thing that every corporate would look at is whether the person has clarity as to what they want to achieve in life. This is the most important thing, as we already said. Because if you have clarity as to what you want to get in life, where you want to reach in life, everything else will flow from that. That is first important thing, clarity in your life. What do you want to achieve? The second, which is a skill, is communication skill. Now, when we say communication skill, it is not just talking to people. It involves four important skills. Number one, we call them LSRW. I'm sure many of you have already heard of them. LSRW, which is listening, speaking, reading, and also writing. These four together are considered to be communication skills. And that is the most important set of skills needed for every individual, particularly when you are placing yourself before a corporate for a job interview, right? And that is also the reason why exams like IELTS or TOEFL focus on testing people on these four areas: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And after communication skill, the next important skill is the interpersonal skill. Are you comfortable interacting with the different types of people or not? Are you comfortable talking to people, expressing your opinion, and also being able to understand their requirement? It is all part of interpersonal skill. Your ability to build better relationships, that is also part of interpersonal skill. So, number one is the clarity. Number two is the communication skill. Number three is the interpersonal skill. Apart from these three, of course, there are a lot of other skills, the entire gamut of soft skills, which I'm sure will happen if you are able to acquire and polish these three important aspects: the clarity, communication skill, and interpersonal skill. In the process, you will also be able to demonstrate leadership skill, team working skill, team building skill. All of that will simultaneously happen.
So there is a competition everywhere, and young generation is reeling under confusion regarding their careers. So how their mentors, parents, or elder siblings should support them and keep them calm.
Huh, that's a good question. Because now, because of the huge competition around, every student is undergoing pressure, stress. Because even while in college, they are under intense pressure to achieve the highest score in the exams. And by the time they are about to complete their plus two, now there's a lot of pressure for them to get into an entrance exam, secure good ranks, secure seats with engineering college or a medical college, or get into other career opportunities. That stress is happening only because of the expectations expressed by the parents or people around them. So, as parents, we should also understand that putting such a pressure can ultimately dampen their performance, can hinder their performance, can become a barrier to the growth of your child. And that's the reason why you will see many a times students are not able to achieve their full potential only because of the stress that was caused to them at some point of time in their plus one or plus two, even after coming out of their college. Likewise, the mentors or coaches or teachers, whoever is guiding the students, will have to understand that stress is something that can become an intense barrier for the performance of the individual. While at the same time, lack of clarity on the part of the student also can become a barrier. So our responsibility as parents, as mentors, as coaches or teachers is to provide the information, expose the student to various opportunities available in the market so that they are able to make an informed decision. Even sessions like the one that you're attending now, a session like this is also part of such an attempt by HCL Tech to help you receive the information that will be useful for you to make an informed decision related to your career. And so parents, teachers, whoever is guiding the students should understand the importance of providing that inputs which will help the student make an informed decision.
So, sir, earlier the trend was different. People used to enroll themselves for graduation, but
Yeah,
now in the recent times, the candidates are getting jobs right after their class 12. Like we have a
correct.
program like TechBee. So, how does
Yeah.
working right after class 12 will prepare students as a better professional?
Okay. Now, students and also parents are under this misbelief, a myth, that their kids should start working only after completion of graduation or post graduation. That's a complete myth. A myth, which means it is not true, it is not correct. Because if we look at what's happening in the world today, by the time someone completes a graduation or post graduation, they would have completed their 21st year or 23rd year. By the time the the ability to learn with a fresh perspective would have gone down, and there is already set expectations in the mind of the person, while at the same time they would have spent almost 5 to 7 years after plus 2 without focusing on acquiring a skill. They would acquire a lot of knowledge, no doubt. Qualification is an indication of knowledge today, but do they have the skill? And that's the reason why, if there's an opportunity to get into the industry, get into employment after completion of plus 2, I would say that's a wonderful opportunity. And you don't have to stop your education. Education, graduation, post graduation can simultaneously happen. Picking up knowledge components, acquiring qualifications can go hand in hand while acquiring skills as an employee with the organization. And programs like TechBee, which give immense opportunity for the youth to be exposed to various organizational components, to understand how the companies run, how business runs, what are the skills that are needed, are helping students today to become proficient and realize what they're actually good at, understand what they will really enjoy doing. By the time they complete their plus 2 and complete 1 year of their exposure with a program like TechBee, they're ready to face the world, to get into any kind of scenario. So I would say that's a huge opportunity.
Sir, I would like to ask a lot of questions based on your knowledge and like your skills, but the time is a constraint now. So I think
Understand?
that
Yeah,
till our next session, we have to give a pause. So hope to
sure.
see you soon on this platform
Yeah,
because our audience is quite impressed by our fruitful teachings. So we
yeah,
will definitely invite you in the coming times. So
sure.
thank you, sir. This was really a very insightful session for our audience. I'm sure that young students who have joined us in the session will find it opportunities to discover their spark and they make informed better on their career choices. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a
Thanks
lot,
a lot.
Arindam. Thank you very much, Arindam. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. So before we end, I will like to play a quick video for you all. Thanks.